to the republic for which it stands,
one nation, under God,
indivisible,
with liberty and justice for all.
Guns, self-defense, concealed carry. This is the Patriot Defense Podcast. From the war room in Idaho's high desert, here's your host, Todd Echols.
And I am back. It is Wednesday afternoon. It is Valentine's Day. And I am tucked away in the war room somewhere in the high desert of southern Idaho. And I have ventured out just long enough to make it down to Walmart. Because of the lovebird I am, the romantic guy that I am, I made it down to Walmart. I picked my wife up some flowers. I delivered them to her place of employment, and I headed back home. That's what I did for Valentine's Day. I've been married almost 28 years, and we still do celebrate it just a little bit, but it's typically not on Valentine's Day. It is on the weekends. It's whenever we have time. I don't like being told what to do and when to do it. And besides, I have a class tonight. Interestingly enough, I have one of the women's academies starts tonight. And I realized my faux pas of scheduling the women's class on Valentine's Day. But you know what? No one has complained. I've talked to a couple people and they're like, oh, I don't care. I will be there. And no one has complained. No one has reached out. So it'll be interesting tonight to see how many people actually show up to class. But there you go. I don't pay attention to these holidays. I don't pay attention to holidays, period. I've scheduled lots of classes on Memorial Day, on Labor Day. I've scheduled stuff over the day before Thanksgiving. 4th of July, my anniversary. It's not a national holiday, but it should be. But I've scheduled stuff on all those days because the calendar I use doesn't separate holidays from all the other. It doesn't list out holidays. So anyhow, I get focused, and that's what I end up doing. But that was quite the welcome back introduction there. It's been a couple weeks. No excuses. Like always, I haven't been just sitting around. I've been busy, and sometimes it just gets kind of, next thing I know, the week is gone, and I haven't done a podcast. But sometimes I'm just kind of trying to come up with something to talk about, and a lot of the times my podcast topic, as you might call it, is, it just kind of takes a little bit of time to stew in my brain a little bit, right? It's stuff that I'm hearing, stuff that I'm thinking about, stuff that I'm seeing in classes, and sometimes it takes a little bit of that to sit in my brain and ferment a little bit. And when it's ready to come out my brain, I fire up the microphone and I give you the podcast. So let me tell you what else has been going on. I have fired up tonight I'll be firing up my last one, but all my women's and men's academies have started up. They've all met for the first time, and they are raring to go. I have a ton of repeat students in these classes, so we're looking forward to go with that. I've put out my patches, the different levels and challenges that they're going to take on for the year, and the patches that they're going to earn as we get more into it. And they're looking forward to those challenges, and the amount of new students signing up for these academies is just absolutely amazing. I'm so excited by it. New people that are excited to get out there and learn. It's absolutely fantastic. I spent a couple days, I talked about it, in the past, I spent a couple days at a vendor show here in the local, what we call the Magic Valley area, over at our county fairgrounds. And it was a show with vendors that would just give stuff to, not give stuff, but they would, if you were a vendor and you provided stuff for women, you could come and you could take part in this vendor show, right? If you offered services for women. And I sat there for 2 days, and I spoke with, I think probably between, well, I've been saying 6. We'll say between 500 and 600 women. Now, some of them may have just been coming by to, they weren't really that interested, but they said hi or whatnot. But I had, even, let's say if even a quarter of those women that I chatted with were interested, right? I spoke with them, and everyone seemed to be rather interested in shooting and guns. And they're like, well, I need to do something. I need to do this. And a handful of them have reached out, and we've got classes scheduled, and that was the whole point of the show, right? My buddies would give. There's a guy that I know, and he gave me a hard time. He's like, he wasn't quite sure what kind of show I was at. He thought it was a gun show, and he's like, "Where are you at? You're at a gun show?" And I was like, "Nah, I'm not at a gun show. I'm at a vendor show." He goes, "Well, I'll stop by and see you." I said, "Well, you can stop by and see me, but it's like there's nothing here for you." I mean, unless you just want to come talk to me, there's like nothing here for you. So he never showed up, but I was telling him, I was like, he's like, "Why are you there then?" I said, "I'm where the students are at." I'm coming where my students are at, since I've had such a high percentage of my students over the last handful of years have been women, have been ladies, that I'm going to go where the customer base is, right? And so that's what I did, and I think it's, get the good word out, and I think it was a good thing. So, I even posted on my social media page on Facebook, that I was in contact with that many people, and the percentage of women in my classes, and I said, what's up with the men? What's up with the guys here? Like, where are all you guys, right? I mean, the women are outnumbering you like crazy. And I put out on social media, I said, well, why is that? And I had some people, actually, you know what? Most people didn't answer. I did have one person answer. It was a gentleman. He answered. He goes, "Well, maybe it's because we put our women, our wives, and the women in our life first, and we are working hard to provide them with the money and the things they need to be able to." And I respect that answer. I do respect that answer. But what I think it mostly, and I'm sure there's some of that, but mostly boils down to, unfortunately, is we don't need a class. I don't need a class. We don't need a class. We our grandpa, our dads, whoever has taught us, we don't need this. They just, there's a little bit of that machismo that feel like you just actually know, man. Never quit learning. And that's what today's podcast is going to be about, right? Never quit learning. Never trying, if you're going to carry a gun to defend yourself, always try to be better. Right? Never stop training. Take my class, take someone else's class. Go out and do what you need to do. If you're going to carry that gun on you, there's a huge responsibility that weighs up on you to be the best you can, to be as proficient as you can. I know training isn't always free, right? You can go and you can practice and do a lot of stuff on your own, but to go and get good, solid training from someone else is a good thing to do. And it's not free. I tell you what, and I've fallen into this trap myself, right? We all have. Don't go out and buy that latest, greatest gadget or gun in the firearms world because you think that's going to do it for you. That's fun, and it's easy to get sucked into the gear part of it, right? You can become what they call a gear whore. You can do that, right? And buying guns isn't a bad thing, but I tell you what, 1 year, take all the money that you would invest in buying a firearm or buying the latest loadout vest, whatever it is, right? Take that, invest in some more ammo, and invest in yourself. Invest in classes. Go out and learn. Put some time on the range. Spend that money in ammo. Spend it in training, and see how much better you get. You would be amazed, and it'd be well worth your time. And I'm not just saying come to me. Go find someone in your area. I know there's a lot of listeners that aren't from here. If you want to improve, if you want to broaden your knowledge base, increase the tools in your toolbox, continue to go out and train. And I know I've done probably 100 podcasts on this exact topic, but as I see this time of year, I see it a lot. I see that as people come into this, they come into shooting and even as I watch people sign up for classes, and I'm not complaining about that because that is a good thing, you need to understand this. So when you do go out and sign up for classes, right, go in there and don't go in there with these preconceived notions of, I know it all, I'm not going to listen to you. Don't waste your money doing that. Go in there with an open mind and learn. Humble yourself and learn. Too many people watch too many movies, right? And what happens is they go and they take these classes, or they want to learn how to do something, so they're taking a class. But they want to go from step A to step Z. At the very, very, very end, they want to get there like that. I'm paying for this class. I want to know how to do this. Well, if you want to know how, for example, if you want to learn how to draw and shoot, it is a process. It is a process. I can teach you how to draw your gun, and I can teach you how to shoot your gun. But to do it properly and correctly, you got to slow it down and take it as a step-by-step process. Not only do you need to break down the draw, right, but let's talk about your trigger press. Because once you get the firearm out of the holster, once you drive it out and acquire those sights, that's another skill you have to have. You have to acquire those sights. You have to have good trigger press, good trigger control. Shoot, don't shoot, know where the wall is, know where the break is to do what? To be accurate. And the faster you do something, and unfortunately, well, I'm going to say unfortunately, but drawing a firearm, you start slow, but the whole goal is to do what? To speed it up, right? And get those shots out there. You have to understand that trigger better, especially if you're doing multiple shots, 2 shots, 3 shots, 4 shots, follow-up shots, repeated shots, controlled pairs, double taps, whatever you want to call it. You have to understand that trigger. And you have to also do what? You have to have a good grip that doesn't have any flaws in it. You have to know how to recoil management. I say maintain recoil, but recoil management is very important. And guess what? To do all that stuff, you got to start at step 1 or step A, right? And that takes you back to the fundamentals, to the basics. Too many times people see the big picture and they want to go from step A to step Z, and they don't worry. They get pissed when they have to learn everything else in between, right? You think about the guys that we see in the movies, the guys that we read about in the papers, all those, the Navy SEALs, the Green Berets, the Rangers, all those guys, right? We'll just cover them all. Let's say special forces. They're good at what they do. They're very good at what they do. But do you want to know why they're good at what they do? Because they will take the little things. When it comes to shooting, for example, the trigger press. They will take the sight acquisition. They will take the grip, the recoil, all that stuff, right? And they can perform those things, what? They can perform those things flawlessly, repeatedly in their sleep, with their eyes closed, blindfolded, whatever you want to say. They do the little things to perfection. Once you perfect all those steps work together, the sight picture, the recoil management, the grip, the trigger press, all those things work together and then allow you to do the bigger items, right? And be able to achieve those and be successful at those. I know I always talk about running too. This isn't a running podcast, but I go out and I like to run. And, these races, these ultra marathons, 50K. So that's going to be, 30 miles, 50 miles. I am signed up. And in 3 weeks from today, I will be going after my first 100-mile race. Am I going to finish it? I want to stay positive. I want to say, yes, I am. Yes, I am. I will finish that race. Come hell or high water, unless I time out, unless they pull me off, I will finish that race. And what is my strategy going? Well, I've been putting in lots of training, putting in lots of time, as you should with your firearm as well. I've been racking up miles. You should rack up dry fires, rack up rounds fired, and do everything deliberately. Do everything with purpose. Train with intent, right? I'm not going to go out. There's a thing in running called junk miles. I just don't go out and run randomly. Sometimes I do just for fun, but that's really not part of my training strategy, right? You don't want to waste those miles. It's time on your feet. It's purpose-driven. It's drills. It's running hills. It's running intervals, right? So when you're shooting, it's the 50-50 drill. It's practicing drawing from the holster. It's practicing moving. It's practicing acquiring your sights. It's all those little things will work up to make you achieve that big picture. And what you need to do is, for like when I'm running, what do I look at? What do I focus on? I focus on the mile that I'm in. If I'm starting a 100-mile race or a 50-mile race or whatever it is, I can't be 2 miles in and be thinking about what? Mile 100 or mile 90 or mile 80, because what's going to happen? I'm going to muddy the waters. I am going to mess it up, and it's going to be harder to get there, or I'm not going to get there at all. And I'm going to get frustrated because in my brain, I want it. I want it now. But I have all those miles to be concerned with. My nutrition, my speed, my legs, you name it. And it's the same thing with shooting. You have to focus on the mile that you're in. Like I said, start with the trigger press, start with the sight or the sight acquisition, start with, all that stuff. Focus on those, and those build up and they work together and they create that final thing that you want, to do what? Achieve. Just like we talked about drawing and shooting. Okay? Just like we talked about drawing and shooting. Yeah, you have to know how to draw the firearm from the holster. But what do you have to have before then? You have to have a good holster, right? You have to learn how to draw that firearm safely, just step-by-step process. You then have to, hopefully, you've worked up to it. And at that point, you can go, well, I have to also figure out how to acquire my sights or acquire that red dot, lock it onto the target as I present it. Okay? You've done that in the past, so now you just add that to the picture. Okay, I need to understand trigger press. I need to understand how to prep the trigger, get it to the wall, and add pressure and take the shot. Oh, I've already done that in the past. Okay, I also did a drill where I would drive the gun out. I didn't bowl with it. I didn't fish with it. I drove the gun out, acquired the sights. I've done that in the past. And I've also done what? Placed my finger on the trigger, press that trigger. So as soon as I get out there and connect with what? The red dot or my sights on target, I'm able to break that shot. I've done that before. Now I can do what? I can add that to my draw presentation, right? And then I can think back and go, well, let me see. Well, I learned all that stuff. And then what did I learn in my class? I learned how to take multiple shots. I learned how to do what while I'm taking multiple shots? I learned how to manage that recoil with my stance, with my grip, with my hand pressure. I've learned all this stuff. So now what? So now I've learned how to take multiple shots. I learned that trigger reset before. Now I'm going to, so I'm going to take multiple shots by using the trigger reset and all the other stuff that I've learned to work up to this big moment. It all works together. I'm able to do that. I can do that now. Now I want to draw that gun and do what? I want to draw that gun and I want to shoot multiple targets. Okay, I want to go target, target, target. So 3 different targets. Well, I've learned how to do that. I learned how to go eyes, gun, eyes, gun, eyes, gun. I've learned how to position my body, how to turn correctly. I've learned how to acquire the sights from target to target to target quickly and efficiently. So now I can add that to when I draw the firearm and I'm doing that because it all works together, right? And then I'm going to go, well, now I'm going to do what? I want to add some movement. Maybe you haven't learned that yet. Maybe you're drawing and you haven't learned that yet. So now it's time to do what? You're at another level. It's time to step back. It's time to learn how to move. Once you learn how to move, then you can incorporate the draw, learn how to move. There's all this stuff, right? There's all this stuff. And too many people, they look at the big picture and say, I want to do that, and I want to do that today. It does not work that way. It does not work that way. You learn it, you improve, you master, and then you move to the next level. That's the way that it works. Just like with me, when I go out and I run. This is like a big life lesson. This works for everything in life, not just shooting, not just running, but these are the things that I know, right? And it's, I got to focus on the mile I'm in. How do I get through this mile? How do I climb those rocks? What kind of nutrition do I take in so I can make it another mile? And the next thing you know, the miles add up. Next thing you know, I'm at mile 40. Next thing you know, I'm at mile 60. I made it this far. I made it this far, and so I'm going to look at mile 61. Next thing you know, I'm at mile 70, 80, 90, and then hopefully I'm crossing the finish line in the right amount of time. That's the way we have to do it. And you have to give yourself positive talk. This is something else. You can get frustrated when you're shooting, and you can take that shot and go, oh, if I have you shoot twice. I see this all the time. So we'll do the 50-50 drill. That's one live round. Bang, catch the reset, and give me a dry fire. Well, people will do what? On the live round, the first round, they will flinch like a big dog. And in the middle of all this, they aren't stopping to do this, but in the middle, bang, oh, dang it. And then they'll catch the reset, and then they'll give me a bad dry fire, right? You have to, you got to get the negatives out of your brain. You're going to mess up. But guess what? It's gone. You need to learn and move on. Learn, correct, move on. Learn, correct, move on. It's not going to just come to you. You have to practice it. You have to put it in your routine. You have to focus, and you're going to foul up. You're going to mess up. You're going to fall off that cliff, right? I've talked about the cliff analogy in past podcasts. You're going to do that. You're going to fall off that cliff, but that's how far you are. And then you move back just a little bit, and you work on it, and you get a little further, and it's just a cycle. That's how you grow. That's how you learn. You have to put in the time. You have to put in the effort. And guess what? It'll come quicker, but when you go and you purchase a new gun that is maybe a different gun, maybe you, heaven forbid, maybe you shoot a Glock, and all of a sudden you're going to get an HK or a Smith & Wesson or something totally different, right? And you go to do it. Yeah, you know the fundamentals, but guess what? You need to learn them. I'm not saying you have to go take a bunch of expensive classes again, but you need to do what? You know the routine. You've built this all up. So now you have to focus on your new firearm, because guess what? The trigger is going to be different. Maybe the grip angle is going to be slightly off. You have to practice with it. Maybe you're shooting iron instead of a red dot. Maybe you got a new red dot, and everything's positioned just a little differently than what you're used to. You tweak stuff. You move your hands. You reacquire it. You relearn it. Now, you've already done it once, so it should be quicker the second go-around, because you should have an idea of what you're doing. But you build upon that, right? That's what you do. That's how you grow. That's when you go buy that new gun. Now, I'm not against people buying firearms. By all means, do what you want. But if you have a limited budget, if you have a limited amount of money that you can spend on this stuff, focus on some training. And whatever gun you have, if that's your carry gun, if that's what you can afford, maybe it's a High Point, maybe it's a G2C, maybe it's an SCCY. It is what it is, right? And we make fun of stuff, and I, give people a hard time about all their guns, not just those guns. But it is what it is. But learn, practice. You can achieve even on a what we would consider a low cost, possibly subpar firearm in some people's eyes. You can still go out and learn, okay? And that's what you need to do. It's the beginning of the year, right? I'm not saying make a New Year's resolution, but man, this is when you focus on you maybe getting your training out, your scheduling stuff. What am I going to do? How am I going to do this, right? This is what you need to do. And I had someone tell me at one point, well, I'll come take your class again, but I don't want to do all that dry fire again. Tough. You're going to have, I'm going to keep this family friendly this episode. You're going to have to do the dry fire again. You're going to have to always focus on the fundamentals. You just have to. You have to, because you put away the firearm. It's been 3 months or 2 months since you've come to class. And you probably didn't shoot. So guess what? You got to practice those fundamentals again. When I go out and I train for a race, right? I'm granted the fundamentals will come to you a little quicker. But when I go out, and if you've already done it, when I go out and train for a race, I train, go out, do this big race, come home, rest. And then if I've got another race in 6 months, guess what I do? I start training again. And I kind of almost start from step one. Now I can move up through the ranks quicker, but I start over again, right? That's what you do when you train. That's what you need to do when you take a class. Focus on the mile, or focus on the section or the step that you are in, and know that once you master that and other steps together, they help form that big picture. Okay? That's the way it works. I've seen people get to kind of a bigger picture, and then they start to draw the firearm, and then fundamentals go out the window. You have to learn how to put them all together. And if when you draw your gun and you present on the target right, and those fundamentals are just lost and it doesn't look like you've ever had them, then guess what? You didn't know them well enough. You have to dial them down. You have to drive them home. They have to be part of you if you want to move on. So I'm going to jump off that soapbox. Everyone's going to tune out because they're sick of me, probably just sick of me just ranting on and on and on about training. But it's so important you're not going to, I tell everyone, it's something I say in my class, you're not going to show up to the class, you're not going to leave here being John Wick. Not today, okay? Not today. You got to learn steps at a time and learn how it all works together, and you got to be humble when you do it. Okay, so I got, let's talk about my guns. We're going to talk about some purchases that I made. I know you guys like to hear them. I'm possibly getting ready to sell, possibly, we'll see, one of my VP9s. And when I do, I'm really considering going out and buying that Springfield Armory St. Victor 9mm PCC, that pistol caliber carbine. That's what I'm looking forward to, so we'll see if that happens. But one thing I did do was I went out and I bought the SES, Holosun SES Red Dot, to put on my other VP9 that is cut for a dot. And I did that because, you know what, here I've got this gun. I still like to shoot it. In fact, I probably shoot it more than I do my P30, which I love my P30, but I don't know. It just change is hard for me, and holding on to that VP9 kind of feels like home. So I'm going to I took the red dot off of it, put on the P30. Now I bought this other red dot. It should be here Friday, I think. They say Saturday, but if they say Saturday, it won't show up till Monday. But either way, I'm going to get it mounted on there, and I'll be good to go. I was speaking with Magnum, and I was looking at getting the Holosun SCS 320. But it's an enclosed it's a green dot, I think, but it's totally enclosed. It's got an internal battery and the solar panel, so you don't ever have to change the battery. That's kind of what I like about it, and it's cool because it's totally enclosed. And I wanted to buy that, but if I'm going to spend the money, it's a little more expensive. Not horribly, but a little bit more. If I was going to buy that, I wanted to put it on my P30. I thought I'd top that P30 off just right. But what it is that is a sight or a red dot, green dot, whatever you want to call it. It is specifically made for the SIG P320. Now, people are putting in all their guns, and you can do so more often than not. Now, you have to it's got a different footprint for it, so I believe you have to use a DPP plate or a Delta Point Pro plate for it. But being put on my P30, since I had that milled, it uses proprietary type plate. I looked it up, and I have to go through Langdon's Tactical, and they do not have one that'll fit. I can't make the connection I need to make it work. So I just went with the basic SES for my VP9, and we'll call it good. But I was talking to a gentleman, the guy that has made my Texas Star and whatnot. He's got a milling machine, and I might put in the research, and he's willing to help me see if we can actually custom mill a plate for the SCS 320. And if we think that we can do that, then I might get it and give it a go and just kind of see what happens. I'd be interested in seeing how that works. So that's something that might be happening in the near future. So anyhow, I do got to jump off. I have to go and prep the classroom and get ready for the group of ladies they got coming over tonight. For my second group number 2 of my beginners women's academy starts tonight, and I got to get that in that classroom and get it all figured out, get it all prepped, ready to go, all the waivers, all that good stuff. So I am going to sign out and let you go. Again, thanks for sticking with me. I know it's been a few weeks. I appreciate you guys. Even the people that are like, hey, where's the pod? Keep reminding me. Keep staying on me. I'm cool with it. Sometimes I do forget. So let me know. I do appreciate all the support. Share it on your social media. Everyone, stay safe. And hopefully I'll catch you again in about a week. Bye.